Good evening to you and welcome to TV47 Weekend. Remember, you can send us your feedback at TV47 Kenya across all social media platforms. Now let's take a look at the highlights. Tonight, COVID-19 numbers are now low in Kisumu. The Ministry of Health indicates just days after high daily numbers. A petitioner wants the swearing-in of 34 judges quashed, terming it unconstitutional. He wants the 6 judges omitted in the gazettement compensated.
Hakuna kitu kia mambo ya kuimpeach speaker. Najua hiyo ni wale watu ambao hawajasoma katibu.
Impeaching Speaker Justin Muturi? That's a tall order, the speaker says. Welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Chris Onyango. I am Muthoni Maina. Starting off, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi has dared those planning to impeach him to table the motion if indeed they have met the impeachment threshold. Speaking in Embu, Muturi, some of those threatening to impeach him do not understand standing orders. Section of members of parliament have been threatening to impeach him after his coronation as the Gami spokesman. Muturi, however, says he will continue serving the spokesman without fear.
And partner with us today. Lord Bishop, today is a very special day for us.
Hakuna kitu kia mambo ya kuimpeach speaker. Najua hiyo ni wale watu ambao hawajasoma katibu, taratibu za kudumu. Hakuna kitu inaitwa impeachment ya speaker. Speaker labda bunge lipitishe mswada kusema halina imani na yeye. Hiyo tu. Na ukweli tuliweka katika sheria zetu kanuni ambazo zinatakiwa kufuatiliwa na ziko wazi pale. Ule ambaye atafikisha ile threshold ajaribu. Hakuna kitu. Unajua wengine tumekaa katika shughuli hizi za siasa kwa miaka mingi. So watu wanakuja tu, mtu amekuja bunge miaka 2-3 alafu anakuja kuanza kusema ati ana impeach. Sisi hii maana tuwezi hata sijui ni kina nani wanasema hivyo.
Now on to the game plan, where the push to amend the constitution to expand the executive through the BBI bill may be in limbo, but the search for President Uhuru Kenyatta's successor is on top gear. Sources indicate that the coronation of National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi's coronation as Mount Kenya spokesman late last month is a calculated plan to divide the region's vote to cap Deputy President William Ruto's influence in the region ahead of the presidential vote next year. But with the legal bureaucracies threatening to dismantle the BBI bill, President Uhuru Kenyatta is presented with at least 3 possible scenarios, including bailing out on ODM leader Raila Odinga to support his handshake frustrated Deputy William Ruto. Here is Musa Salah with the analytical possibilities of the 2022 presidential election.
It was a sign of truce between President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga. But the handshake between the rivals come allies on the stairs of Harambee House in 2018 could be just the political charm Odinga needed to trounce his greatest political opponent, Deputy President William Ruto, whose growing influence in the country seems to arc his rivals.
The leading candidates at present are 2 men, Raila Odinga and William Ruto.
Odinga enjoys the ear of his newly found political ally, President Kenyatta, who seems to be fighting an internal dilemma on whether to pick Odinga as his successor or not.
I have no doubt in my mind the game plan of the handshake is to give Raila the presidency.
And the whole Kisumu tour and all those things was some sort of indirect endorsement. If you listen to the praises that were being passed around my brother this and that, and we have, since the handshake, we have done very well. Look at the fruits of the, but the official statement that I endorse so and so may not come, because what the Raila people would want to avoid is a Moi Uhuru scenario, where Moi said the only person he trusts is Uhuru, and then it didn't work out, the kind of boomerang.
But with a punctured political vehicle that is largely perceived to have been created to take the opposition leader to State House next year, the crafters of the BBI could be forced back to the drawing board, presenting the president with 3 scenarios. An overruling verdict from the Court of Appeal against the High Court ruling that declared the BBI process unconstitutional could water the Kenyatta-Odinga seedling, a relationship that could see the two form a formidable force in the 2022 presidential election.
A sizable number of the people will stick with William Ruto. And it's not the intention of the handshake, I think, to get the entire chunk. I think the handshake team will be comfortable with just 30-40% of Mount Kenya. And you can see they're already moving towards solidifying their support within Mount Kenya East. So if they can get Mount Kenya East and a few votes from the other mountain, the other side of the mountain, they are good to go.
To say that they are going to divide the mountain, this and that, is to assume that people of the mountain are sheepish, that they just follow. And the record is that they don't do that. Yes, they do look seriously at what they think their interests are. And so when they go into the ballot booth, they are saying, who is good for me here? Not what ethnic community they are in, who is good for me here.
But even with a presidential endorsement, Odinga's race to State House could be an uphill task. According to political pundits, the vote-rich mountain would back Ruto if the Kenyatta-Odinga bromance lasts until next year's general election, a possibility that the BBI core principles have planned to level out through drawing a running mate from the region to divide Ruto's perceived allegiance in the mountain.
And that, of course, would mean there will be somebody from the mountain, somebody that who is comfortable with, and this is well staged, because some of the divisions are artificial. You see, and once you create like an artificial war between West and East, certainly the East will get together to rally behind Muturi or wherever it is. I think most likely Muturi, and that's all you need. You get that East vote from Ruto, he's gone.
The issue of a Kikuyu being a running mate is neither here or there, and it is kind of an awkward expectation. Yes, there are people trying to push that, but I think it's uncalled for. What happens is that the statements by leaders who assume that because they spoke, everybody is following them, turns out to be wrong, because the voter usually has more sense than the leaders. So when they go to vote, they don't vote the way the leader wants. They vote what they consider to be their interest. That's how KANU won in 1961.
National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, who was coronated as Mount Kenya spokesman last month, has been seen as a possible Odinga running mate, but Muturi's climb to the top would be competitive. Murang'a Governor Mwangi wa Iria, former Kiambu Governor William Kabogo, Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria, and former Gatanga legislator Peter Kenneth are also eyeing the top seat.
So the candidates are there, and they have been there before. Peter Kenneth looks as if he might try his luck again. But you see, the issue is not whether there is somebody from Mount Kenya or not. And Muturi, if he declares, because he has not. The issue would be how attractive is that person in terms of national projection. And that projection should be in such a way that people believe in this person. So far, Muturi has a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do. It's not enough for a few people in Mount Kenya West and a few other people in Mount Kenya East to say he is now the one.
However, President Kenyatta's second option would be to mend ways with his handshake-frustrated deputy William Ruto. But pundits argue that the presidential flair between the two has grown too dim to be reignited.
Where things have gone, the rift that has developed between Ruto and Uhuru, where things have gone, it will be very awkward if Uhuru were to engage a reverse gear and go back to Ruto. It will be very awkward. A lot of the people who respect him will lose that respect. Because you see, there's something that keeps them apart.
They appear to have separated paths. They are no longer together. Since it's become very open, the best thing he might think of doing is just keep quiet. Although he had said at one time he will surprise people by whoever he says is the one. So we wait to see.
With Odinga left out in the cold, if the handshake fruit turns sour, Odinga and Ruto may be forced to swallow their pride and realign their political stars. But that route may also be hard for the once upon a time friends. The biggest nightmare for a Raila-Ruto alliance would be who becomes what in the arrangement that could see Odinga deputize Ruto and vice versa.
If BBI doesn't go through, it would mean Raila will have to deputize Ruto. How will he face Kenyans as a Ruto's deputy? They're hypothetical.
Why, if you have a chance, should you want to be number two? Raila's record is that he never goes for number two. He always wants, he's run about 4 times and losing 4 times. So he keeps on saying hajaonja.
For Ruto, it will be a big gamble. A big gamble in terms that once he works with Raila, he loses the mountain. Once you lose the mountain then gets a candidate of their own. And they become a very dangerous card that even Raila and Uhuru will have a problem facing. Raila and Ruto will have a problem facing.
As for Ruto, he also thinks he has a very good chance. So why would he go for number 2 when he has... So these two are going head to head.
With all the political heavyweights gunning for the coveted seat come August next year, the political vehicles that will propel the post-2022 campaigns will largely depend on how the handshake will end up. Musa Salah, TV47.
Such an amazing analytical possibility report there on the 2022 presidential elections. We've seen the key players who will re-strategize for the search of the 2022 successor. Thank you so much, Musa Salah, for that report. Now, the row on the recent appointment of judges continues to elicit mixed reactions in the country. A petitioner now, Dr. Magere Gikenyi, now wants the court to declare the swearing in of the 34 judges who were gazetted null and void and quash the decision to omit 6 judges. And as Margaret Wanjiru now reports, the petitioner says the judges have suffered mentally due to their omission.
Dr. Magere Gikenyi, who is a medical doctor at the Nakuru hospital, says the move by the president will result in a loss of public trust, anarchy, abuse of office and discrimination. In his petition, Mr. Magere now wants the 6 judges who were not gazetted to presume their appointment and to start working with their respective mandates. He wants the decision to be declared illegal, null and void, and the decision to be quashed. He says the 6 judges faced post-traumatic stress disorder following the action by the president and wants them compensated. In an application filed on Friday, Katiba Institute argued that Article 166 commands the president to appoint judges of superior courts in accordance with the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. The institute wants the president to outline the reasons or explanation for the omission of the 6 judges. The institute says the cherry-picking and selective appointment or swearing in of judges undermines the functions and powers of the Judicial Service Commission and the functioning of the judiciary.
The president did the opposite of what is expected of him. He is not supposed to direct the JSC or the judiciary on who to appoint as judge. But that is what he's trying to do by rejecting 6 nominees, competent judges. The president has interfered with the mandate of the JSC and of the judiciary. He has interfered with the independence of the institution. He is clearly overreaching. and violating the constitution.
Out of the 41 judges forwarded to President Uhuru Kenyatta for appointment, the president rejected the appointment of 6 of them. They include George Odunga and Joel Ngugi, who are part of the 5-judge bench that declared the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 unconstitutional, null and void, Aggrey Muchelule and Weldon Korir to the Court of Appeal. He also rejected JSC's recommendation to appoint Judith Omange and Evans Makori as judges in the Lands and Environment Court.
You remember these judges were appointed in 2018. They've waited, 2019, they've waited for 2 years to get to this point. It's been a long wait for them. And I feel for them as well, because you remember you appointed as judge you appointed 2 years on, you're not sworn in. It's very unfortunate. And I think the judges, they must have been at pain.
President has also referred back 4 names to the Judicial Service Commission. The 4 are Weldon Korir, Aggrey Muchelule, Evans Makori and Judith Omange. The president, however, did not disclose the integrity issues raised against the 6 nominees. Margaret Wanjiru, TV47.
Indeed, that appointment row has backed mixed prognosis in the country. Thank you so much, Margaret Wanjiru, for that report. Now it's time to take a short break. We will be right back with more. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now let's cross over to Kisumu, where 166 COVID-19 new cases have been reported today. The Ministry of Health announcing a drop in positivity rate by 5% in less than 48 hours. Kisumu County, which was at a high risk of infections, conspicuously missed on the list of infected counties, raising eyebrows amongst Kenyans who wondered whether the county had healed in less than 48 hours. Andrin Kilemi reports.
The country's positivity rate has gone down by 5% in less than 48 hours. According to the Ministry of Health, Kenya recorded a positivity rate of 4.7% Sunday as compared to 9.7% recorded on Saturday. 166 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 3,561 tested in the last 24 hours, bringing the total number of infections to 172,491. The new cases were distributed across various counties. Nairobi recorded 48 cases, Uasin Gishu 21, Nyeri 18, Busia 17, Kisii 9, Nakuru 8, Kilifi 8, Meru, Narok and Siaya recording 4 each. Kisumu County, which was at a high risk of infections days ago, conspicuously missed on the list of infected counties, raising eyebrows amongst Kenyans who wondered whether the lakeside city had healed from the novel coronavirus in less than 48 hours. One Dennis Okore on Twitter said, "Counties under watch like Kisumu no longer feature in your statistics." Another tweet by @Tujadili read, "Kisumu has suddenly disappeared from number 2. Kisumu County made headlines in the last few days due to the surge in the number of COVID-19 infections. Data from the Ministry of Health showed that Kisumu led twice in the number of infections per county. On 1st of June, which was Madaraka Day, Kisumu recorded 67 cases. On the 2nd of June, it recorded 32 cases. On the 3rd of June, the city hit a record high of 145 infections. The cases would then drastically drop to 30 on the 4th of June and slightly rise to 54 on the 5th of June. On the 6th of June, however, Kisumu did not appear anywhere on the list of infected counties. So, did the lakeside city heal in just 48 hours? Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Moving on, an empty petroleum train on transit from Nanyuki to Nairobi caught fire minutes after it left Sagana station. The 6-wagon train incident did not have casualties as those in the cockpit managed to escape. Caroline Muthoni, a resident, narrates of how the train caught fire from the cockpit area. She says neighbors were scared of going closer to the train as they thought it would burst into flames. The fire, which is said to have been caused by an electric fault, was controlled by firefighters who arrived minutes later in conjunction with the residents who flocked the scene.
Ndio tukashitwa hiyo gari ya moshi inawekwa gia ama ni nini, lakini hatujuangi kama iko na gia ama nini, lakini ikaweka inakataa ikasimama. Saa baada ya dakika kama 2 tukaona moshi kubwa sana imetokea hapo. Tukaelezana tuteremke tuone ni nini, lakini tulikuwa na uoga sababu ilikuwa na nini na hiyo na hii matanke ya mafuta. Tukasema tuende tu. Tukifika hapo tukaona moto kubwa ilikuwa inatokea karibu na padereva hivi.
Pigiwa simu at around 9:30 tukaambiwa kuna lili inachomeka hapa chini. Tukakuja on time. Tukapata engine ndio ilikuwa inatoa moshi. Tumepambana nayo na sasa hii yote iko sawa. Hakuna majeraha, sisi sote tuko sawa.
Now, beekeepers in the country may soon be required to acquire a beekeeping license from the county's executive committee member for livestock if members of parliament pass the livestock bill of 2021. The bill also seeks to outlaw the ownership or possession of beekeeping equipment if one is not a licensed bee farmer. And as Mwangi Minor reports, those who commit an offense under the bill are liable to a fine of $500,000 Kenya shillings, 1 year jail term, or both.
The Livestock Bill 2021, sponsored by National Assembly Majority Leader Amos Kimunya, seeks among other things to legislate on beekeeping in the country. Part 4 Section 98 of the bill seeks to outlaw the keeping of bees for commercial purposes, except in an apiary registered under the Act in the event it sees the light of day. The bill outlaws the ownership of bees or beekeeping equipment for commercial purposes unless the beekeeper is registered. Also, under this act, a person shall not allow bees to be kept in a land they own or occupy unless it is registered as a location of an apiary. The Livestock Bill proposes those seeking to be registered as beekeepers to apply to the County Executive Committee member responsible for livestock. Upon satisfaction with the application, the CEC will register the prospective beekeeper and issue a certificate of registration. The certificate for registration will be valid for a year. However, a person who becomes a beekeeper for the purpose of pollination of crops is not required to register under this act. The bees and the devices used for rearing under this clause shall be disposed within 8 weeks. The bill has, however, rattled leaders from bee-rearing counties, claiming that the bill is meant to hurt the bee farmer. Labour Cabinet Secretary says the bills and legislations should aim to encourage and inspire production, but not spell doom to farmers. Chelugui has opposed the bill, saying the cabinet is sensitive to laws that might end up hurting the common mwananchi.
Nataka kusaidia, kusisimua, kusaidia wakulima wa asali, sio kushurutisha na kuwaumiza through bills and legislation and regulation.
Chelugui's sentiments were echoed by Mogoti Member of Parliament, who says members of Parliament from arid and semi-arid areas will shoot down the bill upon its presentation to the floor of the House.
Please leave your farm and then invite somebody else, you pay a penalty. I think that one is absurd. So tuseme kwamba hiyo maneno ya I would say it was busybodies wale wanachora hiyo kitu. So hiyo tutangarisha hata kama hivyo hata tena hivyo tutakuwa kuna ile kitu inaitwa public participation. Fanya biashara ya asali lazima uombe license. Hapa Baringo sisi tunategemea asali. Na sasa hapo wanatunyonga. Kwa hivyo nyinyi wabunge hiyo ni yenu huko. Sijui wataonga nyinyi mkubali ama lakini mkatai. Kwa sababu that is a livelihood ya Baringo, and that bill of Kimunya must not see the light of the day.
The Livestock Bill also restricts setting up of hives within 30 meters of a property line, separating the land on which the hive is placed and human settlement. The bill also restricts placement of hives within 10 meters of a highway. Mwangi Maina, TV47, Nairobi.
From the Livestock Bill to Kiambaa, where aspirants for the upcoming Kiambaa parliamentary seat by-election on Sunday stepped up their campaigns across the constituency as the July 15th date with the electorate nears. Daniel Masidza reports.
The United Democratic Alliance Party candidate John Njuguna was in Gashie trying to woo voters, exuding confidence of winning the seat that fell vacant following the death of Paul Koinange in March this year. The UDA candidate was accompanied by Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria among other DP Ruto supporters.
Nataka kushukuru askari, nataka kushukuru pia upande wa usalama, upande wa administration, kwa sababu kufikia saa hii hatujaona ile mambo ya kunyanyaswa ambao tuliona Juja. Na pia nishukuru wale tunashindana na wao. Na nishukuru chama cha Jubilee kama leo walikuwa wanasemekana wako na msafara hapa. Na nilipoongea na county commander, nikaongea na county commissioner na OCS watu hapa wa Karoli wakaongeleshwa na wakasema wameondoa yao sababu sisi tulitangaza yetu mbele. Kesho tukifika pahali tusikie wametangaza yao mbele. Pia tutawaondokea. Na tunataka tuonyeshe siasa ambao sio za fujo, siasa za amani na siasa za watu ambao wamekomaa katika hii kaunti yetu. Ya leo na kesho. Pengine haiwezekani. Lakini pia tunapasha ujumbe kwamba kuanzia mwaka ujao tukichukua serikali tumetangaza vile mimi napewa milioni 130 na kitu kwa CDF. Pia nitapewa ingine kama hiyo ya kupea mahasura capital waanze biashara ndio waweze kujiendeleza. Na unajua hawa mahasura ukiwapatia capital waanze biashara, ukiwaambia walipe ushuru, hata sio wewe utawaambia, hata wewe watajionea, ni afadhali walipe ushuru. Kwa muda mrefu tumekuwa tukiangalia biashara kubwa, makampuni makubwa. Sasa hii tunataka kuanza pale chini, tuhakikishe kwamba wale wachuuzi, wale wafanyi biashara tumeshinda nao leo, hao ndio nguzo ya serikali.
On the other hand, the PNU candidate Lucy Wanjiru spent the better part of the day strategizing, exuding confidence of coming out victorious.
Nashukuru sana wa president kwa sababu kila mtu anafanya campaign vile anastahili. On top of that tumepeana timetable zetu kwa ABC. Kama leo niko hapa, wengine wako mahali kwingine. Kwa hivyo naweza nikashukuru wa president kwa kutupatia ile wakati ya kila mtu aweze kujitetea kwenda kwa wananchi kutafuta kula. Wa mwanamke peke yake katika Kiambaa constituency niko na furaha tele kwa sababu akina mama wamenipokea kwa sababu walikuwa wameamua kubadilisha hii Kiambaa constituency, na ninaweza nikasema ya kwamba wamama wako frontline kunipigia debe na kwanza wakiangalia masomo yangu ni ya hali ya juu. Kwa hivyo wananishikilia na wanasema wanataka mabadiliko, na mimi kama mwanamke peke yake katika Kiambaa constituency na abia watu wangu, mimi sio kama mama, mimi ni dume kama zile dume zingine, na wala sitishwe na yeyote, na wasione ya kwamba eti mimi ni mwanamke na tishika. Hapana, mimi niko na nguvu na mimi nitaenda kuwatetea kule bunge.
Other candidates in the race include Kariri Njama of Jubilee, Willy Mbugwa, who is an independent, David Mugo running as an independent, Isaac Karomo of Federal Party of Kenya, Evans Gishia of People's Party of Kenya, and Richard Njoroge of the New Democrats. Daniel Masiza, TV47.
Now that report takes us to yet another short break. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
TV47, the home of untold stories.
Welcome back to TV47 Weekend. Now let me sample a couple of your feedback on Facebook. We've got CJ Mutonye saying he's watching from Kitisiro. Thank you so much, CJ. We've got Koske watching from Kilifi, and also Morthy saying he's following. Cedrico Kibbs saying he's tuned from Elgeyo Marakwet. We've got Dennis Kibort and Ibrahimu Miheso. We've also got Minaj Deco. Thank you so much. Now on to a much anticipated journey in Nakuru County, as it now awaits President Uhuru Kenyatta's nod to be Kenya's fourth city after senators approved the elevation. The journey which started 2 years ago has however had its challenges. Section of locals are however still opposed to the elevation, as Willie Dennis Njiru now reports from Nakuru.
Nakuru, one of the fastest growing urban centers in the country, coming forth by size after Nairobi, Mombasa and Kisumu. For decades, the town has served as the administrative hub of what used to be Rift Valley province, and its journey towards attaining city status has been long.
Mimi ningependa kwanza kusema shukurani kwa governor na viongozi wote ambao walifanya bidii, na ningeomba rais wetu kama anaweza kupitisha, itakuwa baraka, maana kuwa mji kuna faida yake.
That many people don't know what it means to be a city, the residents of Nakuru. It is true because they've never been in that space. But more importantly is that we are going to engage with them and also confirm that some of the benefits that come with the city are going to benefit almost everybody you can imagine.
Following his election in 2017, Governor Lee Kinyanjui initiated the process of elevating Nakuru municipality to city status by forming a technical committee that has steered the course for over 700 days and bore fruits. On Thursday, the Senate approved the conferment.
The Nakuru of now and another 5 years to come will be a different Nakuru. Opportunities will be more. We'll have greater conferencing facilities, we'll have more visitors, we'll have more demand for food, more demand for taxi, more demand for entertainment, and therefore our town is going to be lively and is going to be the sort of town that everybody would want to come.
Jubilations would then spark the town that had been crossing fingers, awaiting the declaration.
We hope at the right time, once the president has assented, we'll be able to come and receive the charter formally, and then from there we can start our planning. So it is still work in progress.
The finding of the Senate Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations approved that the municipality had met all requirements for elevation of status, fundamentally the 250,000 population threshold that now stands at 367,183.
Beyond also becoming a city, we are also aligning our policies to become business friendly, to become a one-stop shop for business solutions, and also to create opportunities for people across the board.
The committee added that Nakuru would sustain its operations as per criteria statute, as it had demonstrated its potential capacity in revenue generation.
The responsibility of leaders is to offer hope. And I see this city moment as also a moment of hope for the business people of Nakuru, for a person in their small business here in Nakuru, and for anybody else who also is looking to that.
The move has, however, received objections from a section of local leaders and clerics who attribute the move as a fast forward, basing the elevation of the population alone as ill-advised, as the municipality lacked basic amenities. They added that the cost of maintaining the city status would affect the host citizenry. Benson Mwangi is a former mayor in the Municipal Council of Nakuru, who says service delivery to the residents is deplorable and would require up to 15 years to improve.
Hakuna kitu kizuri kinakuja bila cost. Pia tunajua kwamba hii pia itatu cost. Sababu sasa kama ni rent rates, kama ni house rent. Tunajua ya kwamba mambo ingine itabadilika, nyumba zitapanda, rent rates zitapanda.
Wajue wananchi wa Nakuru, jina city ni very expensive kwa sababu rate zote zitaongezeka. Rad rate, licenses, rate ya maji, kila kitu itaongezeka. Kwa hivyo itakuja na cost yake.
Nothing was stopping us from increasing even before. So it is not that you have to become a city for you to increase. If you had wanted to increase, we would have done it before. But as far as I know, it is not a priority now. And within what we have, within the current numbers, all you need is to ensure that the little you are supposed to pay, you are paying, and it goes towards the intended purpose.
Mwangi, who is also chairman of Nakuru Hotels and Caterers Association, called on the president to withhold elevation of Nakuru city status, citing that the county administration had not demonstrated how the revenue base would sustain the city status.
Mimi my appeal to His Excellency the President, ningemuomba asiidhinishe Nakuru kuwa city, atupe muda kwanza ili mambo haya mengi hasa mambo ya maji iwe iko ya kutosha.
Lakini hata hivyo kuna changamoto. Tafadhali ndugu zangu, tembeeni mashinani, mjue ya kuwa huu mji mnataka uwe mji mkuu una matatizo makuu ambaye sote tusipoungana kusaidia tutakuwa tunajiingiza tu kwa shida mpya ambaye hatuna suluhu juu yake.
Dissenting voices from other clerics and leaders saying elevation of the town would make it even more competitive as far as tourism is concerned. The chairman of the Central Rift Matatu Association, Stephen Muli, whose sector had been adversely affected by the county's administration in relocation, welcomed the move.
Na waangalie zile biashara ambao zimeathirika sana kama biashara ya uchukuzi ya matatu, waweze kuwaconsider ya kwamba mahali wako waweze kupata biashara. Sababu sasa mchi ambao una magari ya kuingia mjini ni kumaanisha ya kwamba biashara haitaweza kukua kwa haraka.
Dispelling widespread fears that the devolved units administration would review upwards the cost of business licenses, land rates, service charges and amenities such as water and sewerage service. Nakuru County boss Lee Kinyanjui stated his priority would be to source for additional funding for urban development and enforcing collection of revenue on existing streams.
Beyond the elevation in paper, we will align all our programs to ensure that we work towards the achievement of that.
The move is expected to improve the status of Naivasha town, which is the second largest town in the county.
Naona ni vyema Nakuru iwe mji mkuu kwa vile ukiangalia distance kutoka Nairobi mpaka hapa iko very far, na Nakuru inaonekana kama itakuwa katikati mwa nchi. Kwa hivyo sisi watu wa bonde la ufa tunaona ni vyema
kufanywa mji mkuu. Hatutakuwa tukifurika kama wao wanaenda Nairobi, tutakuwa tukienda Nakuru ku provide kama wao wanaenda Nairobi.
Governor Kinyanjui assured residents that his administration will work closely with the national government to put in place measures to ensure the cost of doing business is friendly, exuding confident that the elevation of the town will spur economic growth.
Kuna challenge mbele yetu, na kama hatuko mbele ya challenge ama kuwa tayari kukutana na hiyo challenge, tutakuwa tu mji mkuu kama mjukuu mwenye ana shida kuu.
The county now awaits the presidential assent so as to be able to take up the coveted status, thus bringing forth development. Reporting for TV 47 from Naivasha in Nakuru County, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
Indeed, Nakuru is one of the fastest growing urban centers in the country. Thank you so much, Willie Dennis Njiru, for that report. Now, from Nakuru to Mumias, where a section of sugarcane farmers from Busia County have urged politicians to desist from politicizing the revival of the Mumias Sugar Factory. The Association of Sugarcane and Allied Products, KSAP, has, however, maintained that farmers must be included in the decision-making process in the efforts to revive the factory, claiming that there are fears the factory could be sold to private investors without being involved. The farmers insist that they will go back to the streets in protests if they are not involved in the entire process going forward.
Mumias iwe revived
lakini tunataka iwe revived kwa mlango wa uwazi. Walituambia kuna mwekezaji, kama unafufua kiwanda cha sukari lazima uongee na wakulima. We are the key stakeholders. Bila miwa hakuna factory. Mumias is not a Wanga issue. Mumias ni kiwanda ambacho kinahusisha hii region mzima. Kwa hivyo kuweka vijana kwanza kusema sisi wa Wanga, it's not about sisi wa Wanga. Hii ni maneno ambayo inahusisha sisi wakulima wote wa hii region. Mumias imepanda miwa, kuna watu ambao wako na madeni ya Mumias iko na madeni yao kutoka hata hapa Busia. Kwa hivyo tunapoongea kama viongozi wa wakulima, tunaongea tukitaka haki. Na hii haki ijulikane vile hii factory inakuwa revived. Na wale ambao wanaweka vijana barabarani, semekana Mheshimiwa Oparanya, Mheshimiwa Savula, tafadhali mupatie Musalia heshima. Musalia is our regional leader, is our regional spokesman, na alipouliza haya maswali hakuuliza kwamba hataki mwekezaji Mumias. Aliuliza mwekezaji akuje but kwa njia ya transparent.
Chenye tutafanya ni kuandamana. Kwa sababu Mumias sio ya Wawanga peke yao. Mumias ni ya region yote. Na ilikuwa imeajiri hata watu kutoka Busia, sio Wawanga tu.
Ikiwa mambo ya investor inakuja kuwa mambo ya siri hivi, mtu akitaka ukweli, kwa sababu tunataka tujue ukweli wao ili watuambie kama investor anakuja.
The traders are accusing police officers in the nearby Busia police station for laxity, as they were informed in good time but did not respond. However, Busia police station OCPD says that investigations have commenced.
Duka wamebeba zote kama ya pesa ya 1350, na pia pesa pia nilikuwa nimewasha kwa duka pia walibeba na simu zilikuwa customer ameniashia sakushaji walibeba.
Kana wasiwasi. In fact we are planning to close our shops kwa sababu ya insecurity. Wameibia wamama melon, wamevunja maduka za watu wameenda hasara.
Tangu nyanya zimeibiwa, melon zimeibiwa. Tumekuwa tukiripoti kwa polisi na wakuji. Hata kuna wakati watuvunjia soko hapo ndani. Waizi wakaiba vitu zetu, kaenda kupiga ripoti kwa polisi huko, akasema atakuja kutuangalia. Hakuna matokeo yenye yalitokea na hakuna majibu yote yalitokezelea, ikabaki tu hivyo. Tukaenda tu hasara, hiyo vitu kikaenda, tukaanza kujimudu tena maisha mengine.
Wamevunja vibanda, wamebeba kila kitu. Tukienda hapo kwa polisi wanasema tunawapigia kelele.